Imagine discovering the love of your life laughing in someone else's arms, and instead of screaming, you smile, stay silent, and plot a revenge so devastating. It leaves them broken, alone, and begging for you back. That's exactly what I did. My name doesn't matter. But this is the story of how silence became my greatest weapon. If you've ever been betrayed, underestimated, or treated like you don't matter, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and welcome to Life in Stories. Because today, you're about to hear one of the most satisfying revenge stories ever told. When Michael and I got married, it felt like the beginning of forever. He wasn't just my husband. He was my best friend, my protector, the man I trusted with every piece of my heart. In those early years, we didn't have much. Just a tiny one-bedroom apartment with peeling paint and a leaky faucet. But to me, it was a castle, because inside those walls I had love. We'd stay up late talking about our dreams. We'd share cheap takeout on the couch, laughing until we couldn't breathe. I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. But slowly, I began to notice the cracks. First, it was small things. Michael would come home later than usual. He'd glance at his phone and smile, but not at me. He stopped holding my hand, stopped looking at me the way he used to. "Work's just stressful," he'd mumble. And I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. But my gut whispered otherwise. Then came the night that confirmed my worst fears. It was 2 a.m. when his phone rang. The sound cut through the silence like a blade. He jolted upright, grabbed his phone, and hurried into the living room. I sat frozen in bed, staring at the empty space where my husband should have been. My heart pounded. I wanted to follow, demand answers, but I couldn't move. When he came back, he avoided my eyes. His hands shook slightly as he set his phone on the nightstand. And that's when I knew. Something was very, very wrong. Weeks later, the truth finally slapped me in the face. Michael had forgotten his laptop at home. I wasn't snooping, I just needed to check an email. But as soon as I opened the screen, a message flashed. And there it was. Pictures. Pictures of Michael with her. Smiling. Laughing. Holding her like she was his entire world. My hands trembled. My chest tightened so hard it felt like I couldn't breathe. I wanted to throw the laptop, to scream, to collapse on the floor. But I didn't. Not a single tear fell. Not one word left my mouth. Instead, silence wrapped around me like armor. And in that silence, I made my choice. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't fight. I wouldn't humiliate myself trying to win him back. Well, I would divorce him. And my divorce would be my revenge. Told no one. Not my parents. Not my friends. I didn't even confront Michael. Around him I smiled. I cooked his meals. I kissed him goodnight. But behind that mask, I was building my escape. I poured myself into my job. I started saving every penny. I opened a secret bank account. I researched apartments in neighborhoods he didn't even know I liked. Every night, while he texted God knows who in the other room, I was planning my freedom. Michael thought I was blind, that I was weak, that I couldn't survive without him. He had no idea that with each passing day, I was becoming stronger. 6 months. That's how long I stayed silent. 6 months of pretending, smiling, and waiting. And then, the day came. I handed everything, the emails, the photos, the texts, to my lawyer. Quietly, without a single word to Michael, I filed for divorce. Still, I didn't let him see it coming. I kept acting like nothing was wrong. He thought he'd gotten away with it. He thought I was clueless. Until the papers arrived. I'll never forget that moment. Michael stood in the doorway, holding the envelope in his hands. His face turned pale. His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "Emily, what the hell is this?" he finally shouted. For the first time in months, I looked straight into his eyes. Teddy. "This," I said softly, "is what you did, Michael. I'm just finishing what you started." He tried to argue, tried to spin excuses, but the words died on his lips. And just like that, the marriage was over. But here's the thing. My revenge wasn't just in leaving him. My real revenge was in the life I built after. The apartment I had secretly bought became my sanctuary. I painted the walls my favorite colors. I filled the shelves with books I loved. Every piece of furniture, every little detail was mine. Chosen for me by me. For the first time in years I could breathe. Michael, on the other hand. His perfect little affair didn't last long. Within months she was gone. And suddenly so was everyone else. His calls grew desperate. His texts filled with regret. Please, Emily. I made a mistake. Let's talk. But I never looked back. He ended up alone. Completely, utterly alone. That was my victory. I didn't scream. I didn't humiliate him. I didn't chase revenge with fire and fury. Chose silence. And my silence destroyed him more than any words ever could. The look on his face when those papers arrived. The shock, the fear, the realization that I had beaten him at his own game. That was the sweetest justice I could have imagined. He thought I'd be broken without him. Instead, he was the one left shattered. Looking back, I realized silence was never weakness. Silence was strength. It was patience. It was control. Had I screamed, it might have spiraled into chaos. But by staying calm, I showed Michael and myself that I didn't need him. And that was my silent divorce revenge. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button, thumbs up, and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? And don't forget, subscribe Bell to Life and Stories for more powerful, emotionally charged tales of justice and revenge.